Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the What's New 1908 session for consultants. First of all, for the sake of GDPR, if you don't want your name, your face, the questions you ask visible to others, please disconnect now, since this meeting will now be recorded. All right, enable now What's New 1908. There is not that much to say. As always, those sessions focus on the relevancy from a consulting perspective. There is a handful of topics that we go into detail. We're going to stay within the slide deck mainly. Maybe we jump out to producer one or two times. Let's see. As always, please unmute yourself in case you have any questions anytime. I would prefer talking to me rather than using the chat, because I probably miss the chat messages because I only have one display in front of me right now. All right, let's get started. What's new 1908? Performance support, our topic. How is that working out? What's there? The most important part, and I haven't had the chance to set up a proper test system to show you in detail how that works. This is why we're gonna just use the enable now sequences for that, is auto progress for guided tours. That's point one for a reason. Yeah, we are now auto progressing GTs in Web Assistant just as we ever did in Desktop Assistant. So feature set is coming close to each other. There was a missing link regarding auto execution. Works now. Based on the recording, we see how that actually works. No rocket science at all, but very massive impact on the end user experience. There is a new tab in the edit content pop-up called automation. Selection of auto progress actually happens here, and that could be any event that resolves a specific interaction. Nice here in comparison with Desktop Assistant, where we actually only can select one specific trigger. The triggers might be combinable here. Yeah, so you can combine several ones, which is very good in comparison. So even a bit better. Mostly you will use leave input field, like I finalized my entry, or pressing tab, which leads to the same effect. Interesting is hover. So there is an option to simply control whether a certain additional information popping up when hovering a tile, let's say, was consumed before something new will happen. So it's quite interesting. However, this is comprehensively documented here in the crisp learning, linked from the What's New, as always, and also in the standard manual. So I believe not that much more to say about that, but important and absolutely mandatory to know and to speak up about, because that was one of the missing features that the other guys with a W as a first character always blamed us not to be able to do so. So now we are, just in the same quality and the same way as always. So please keep that in mind. Usage report for Web Assistant. We don't even go into the recording here. It's the absolute same UI as the usage report for Desktop Assistant. It's anonymized. It just shows the frequency and the overall usage count per object. Better than nothing. Still room for improvement. We all know that. And reporting is one of the big topics on the roadmap for the upcoming releases. So we are actually working on a concept to be able to take advantage of existing analytics frameworks rather than building new, even more fancy diagrams and reports within Enable now. That's for the future. For now, we got something for Web Assistant, so we actually see watermark of usage alerting can be done. So this is better than nothing, but still not 100% what we expected to have. All right, but it's there. Web Assistant. This is a big one for the authors, context-sensitive start of guided tours. Yeah, not only for the authors, for the end users as well. It now acts in the same way as Desktop Assistant also acts if the switch start from arbitrary step is active. That means if I am already in a specific page context, like on form number 2 of a specific app, yeah, if we talk in SAP GUI world, we would be on the DIN Pro 2 of a specific transaction. In Web Assistant, it's for Fiori, so it's rather the second page of an app. The Web Assistant guided tour will immediately jump to the first logical step matching to that particular process. Makes absolute sense, hasn't been possible before. Problem was, this was also for authors, so if maintaining a guided tour, and everybody of you having already authored guided tours in a project knows that was pain in the, you know, because you always had to start the process from scratch, and in a 50-stepper, guided tour modification on step 49 was, hey, now I go through the first 48 again to get there. So not really nice for authors. Now it's sensitive to the current active page context. So works as expected. Good one to know. Skip optional steps is self-explaining. There is not that much, no, that there's nothing more to say. Yes, an optional step is now skipped. This is both features that bring the Web Assistant behavior closer to the Desktop Assistant behavior and make it work as expected. Bubble positioning was optimized. Yeah, there was a column free, I guess. Yes, it's not the default is not the middle of the target object anymore as it was before. It's now the outer right border. Well, yes, yeah, a bit less handwork. But the first two are quite important to know. I believe that was it regarding Web Assistant Solo. That's my favorite for the current release. That was one of the big reasons why the Desktop Assistant Live customers that are using Desktop Assistant as a performance support carrier technology for longer have a bit hesitating about using Web Assistant, because we had that issue that we then end up in a situation where two performance support functionalities are telling different stories, which from an end user perspective is the ultimate no-go. Yeah, saying the Web Assistant tells me here is content for you, and Desktop Assistant still up and running says for this particular web page in that browser I don't have content for you. So who is actually telling the truth? That was the big deal from an end user perspective, and that was a reason that really stopped people from broadening their scope from Desktop Assistant up to using Web Assistant. So our approach should always be considering not two applications, web versus Desktop Assistant, but considering both as the EPSS solution parts of Enable Now as one solution. And this is absolutely possible now, since now Web and Desktop Assistant are aware of each other. Let's have a look how that works. It's in here as well. I just need to get rid of this dumb panel here. So there's two new switches. One forces the hide, and one shows some messages, and then it's straightforward. I am in a desktop application. Desktop Assistant is running. The web application equipped with Web Assistant, where Web Assistant is active, question mark is there, is coming to the focus. That means Desktop Assistant goes idle and comes back to the previous state as soon as you come back to another application which is not equipped with Web Assistant. Here we go. The texts, as always, are maintainable in the playback dictionary. There is two prompts, one when going idle, one when coming back, which both can be removed with the don't show again flag. Not more than that, but very handy in regards of end user acceptance simply because then this situation where one is telling story A and the other tool is telling story B is not possible anymore. So the only thing that you have to do now is bring the designs of both as close together as possible to make the end user realize that this is basically the same. And then you're good to go. Yeah, so this is a very important one, I would say. All right, web assistant and desktop assistant. Next one. Desktop assistant, store user-specific display settings. A good one on the one hand, probably challenging on the other. Since the desktop assistant was heavily redesigned last release in 1905 from an infrastructure perspective, so recognition speed was increased dramatically. You know, the resolving of a context is now real time in most cases, or in nearly all cases. And this framework related modification gave us a chance, which is to then finally store the user-specific display settings, which means I'm now able to define the position and the border or the edge of my screen where I want the widget bar being attached. I can modify the size of the result window on my own and the position. And in the next usage, Desktop Assistant will remind itself of that setting and use it again. It will basically store it in a local cookie, which is physically stored in the cache folder. And there it will just pick that up. The challenge here, and please take care when discussing this in customer situations, previously we had one default size for simulations. The main usage was concurrent mode, top bottom right corner, rather small square to display that. And we had another for book pages, for slides, which in most of the cases was best practice-wise centered and a bit larger in size, because you would have a proper 1024 book page to provide some learning content through the performance support module. Now it's just one default value. That means you have to choose either the one or the other, and we do not distinguish content types anymore. Could become challenging, yeah. So it also fell on my feet once with another customer who was live since ever and now complained after the update that the end user experience is not as good anymore as it was before. There is discussions pending, let's see. For now, is as it is. That means no distinguishing between slides and projects anymore. Both will be displayed in the same result window, just based on the last setting of the single user. If you only use the one or the other content type, it's absolutely beneficial. If you use both, it could end up in having more drag and drop effort on the end user side. Yeah, let's see. If this tends to escalate, then we have to change that feature again. All right, nice one for high definition displays. Playback with DPI scaling is finally there. That was that big change in architecture. We're gonna have a closer look to Producer now. I actually forgot to start it. Let me just open it for you in the background, because I just want to show you the new style and what it is about. Producer. So for all of you having ever customized a Producer desktop assistant skin, this might look completely new. So if I go down to the file level of desktop assistant, you will find a lot of SVG files now, scalable vector graphics. The ones, the sprite, the dot, the s.png, which was our option to modify, is gone. You will not find it anymore. And basically, you will find a button SVG and a content SVG. And then, based on the experience of older skins, you would expect this to be the way, the file, for instance, to modify the icon of the light bulb or so. So that was possible before, but because there was just one file to modify this. So if you have a customer using custom icons for the desktop assistant skin, for what reason ever, unfortunately, no chance no more. Yeah. The icons now are hard-coded. All the files in here are for preview purposes only, and there is no option to modify the icons of desktop assistant after that upgrade anymore. The icons are standard. The icons have been facelifted in the meantime, or in that release as well, so they look better. Let's just generate one. I don't actually know in what context that is. I believe on desktop. Just to give you an idea. Yeah, so there is the new light bulb skin. The complete skin as such changed a little bit. Everything became more flat. But however, if this icon, this specific icon of the light bulb, for instance, has been modified by the customer to something else, yep, after that DPI change, it will be gone and it will be set back to the light bulb as it comes from our standard. Right now, I personally at least am not aware of any possibility to change that because it's a hard-coded vector graphics file that comes from the core. Yeah, so it works on any scaling. It works on a 200 dpi percent HD display as good as on a old-fashioned display. All good, but basically one restriction: in case you had intense modifications, they will be gone. All right, new icons, we've saw that already. Yeah, desktop assistant is redesigned. It's more flat. It fits a bit better into the Windows 10 UI. So for me, it's quite seamless now. So it just feels like it belongs to the OS, which should be the case for EPS system. It should be considered as part of the workplace and not as a separate application. Goody, desktop assistant. Again, guys, if there's questions, unmute yourself and ask. Continuous usability and authoring improvements. What do we have here? We have, yes, finally the option to insert images and videos to CDocs, to text units. So the CDocs become more prominent, and that's all self-explaining. Yeah, I don't see any reason why we should go into detail here. Yes, margins, alignments, left, right, you can put them in tables. You can create nice HTML page layouts, even using rich media. Videos could be the rendered videos of a demo mode, for instance. Bring that together again with text around it. So the text unit becomes more multimedia, but that's basically it. I love that one. Template-based content production. So finally, let's go over to producer again. The new tab is now separated into 3 sections. Recent means the latest objects created. Yeah? Then you have like a quick access to the stuff that you need the most. Makes sense. The middle tab, the objects tab, is the one as we know it since ever and brand new and really cool. The templates tab, that actually presents all the objects, all the slides and everything, which here in, let me just close this, which are marked with use as template. Yeah, that's a bit of the disadvantage. We overload the term template once more. Yeah, so one more template switch, and everything seems to be a template in Enable now. But yeah, that's good. Use as template means if that one is set true, let's just do that for that DA object. It makes no sense, but however, a conditional property template description appears where you can describe for the authors what this is for and what the purpose is. And after that, coming back to templates, we got a new object in here. Yeah, so that's for private usage as well as for overall usage in the configuration. Quite nice.
Hey,
so
Michael,
yes, sir.
can I just jump in here? If you flip
Sure.
back and open that up again, go to that new one. Something I've noticed here, you see you've got simulation end page listed twice.
Yes, it's a bug.
Yes, okay, just clarifying, just in case anyone hadn't seen that. It's because
it's
it's listed twice in the outline.
Yeah, it's a bug. It's already known. I believe it's already fixed, so it will be gone in 1911. Absolutely.
My question: is there any way to steer what the category is going to be here in the templates section?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
So how does it know that it's a simulation end page and not just a regular template for a book?
Because the template is called simulation end page.
No, but the section was also end page, wasn't it?
No. The description was end page, and the rest is simply the name of it.
No, I mean this end page.
End page. Honestly, I have no idea.
Because it put in app help, that makes sense. End page, why, and why is it not just
This
content
is a
page?
good. This is a good. No.
It's the group.
It's the parent.
For the group. Okay.
Parent. Yeah. So it's reflecting template library. So it's the parent.
Okay. So we can steer what the section. Okay, that's exactly my question.
Based on the parent. Yep. All right. So template-based production, fine. Now, most likely will reduce the amount of prosa you have to put into authoring guidelines, because now, I mean, parts of what to use this for and for what reason, etc., just comes from the tool. Context menu in Book Page Explorer, yes, there is more function in it. Nothing more to say. That one for us is again something quite important. The media update has been invented, maybe I'm lying, 2 releases ago, and there was one big missing feature, which was the option to update externally loaded files, as it was possible with the old-fashioned media attachments. Why is that so important for collaborative productions? So basically the best practice is if you work together with graphic design agencies or with the internal communication department, providing design resources, for instance, that there is shared folders where the authors get their media from and use them in their curriculums. So the instructional designers on the one hand and the graphics designers on the other hand, they work together in a file system. And the best practice that we consult is there is a set of placeholder files, and the instructional designer in the storyboarding phase, all the days you really had storyboards. I personally do that in the tool already. You create the structure of the curriculum and you say, okay, that's a template of a page. That page has a placeholder. The placeholder foresees an image in that aspect ratio and of that size. So what you would do is you would create a corresponding placeholder file and put it in, and put that placeholder file to the share first. Now the share is the task list for the graphics designers, and best practice is that the graphics designers then create their stuff in Photoshop, in Illustrator, wherever, and then they save their output file, their PNG file, and replace the placeholder at the location where it was originally placed by the instructional designer. Yeah? And from there, it was originally imported to the content. And then, and that's finally the feature, you can recursively update externally loaded files for a complete course, let's say, once every day. And then everything that was delivered by the graphics person, it works in the same way for audios which are dubbed, which is supposed to be dubbed on, and the audios are produced in the studio, let's say. Yeah? So for any video of a media, video, audio, image that are loaded from an external file, this recursive function will reload all of them if their timestamp changed based on the initial upload. Yeah, and that's big benefit for collaborative productions. So in the first run, you might probably see here, yeah, we got a media repository there, and something changes on the media, I can update recursively. But from a production perspective, if you follow that best practice that I just explained, this makes a lot of difference. quite cool that this is now working, and even working recursively, which at least out of the box was never possible with the attached media. Regarding the media object, one more update. We had a challenge when it was invented that there was no migration executed. Yeah, so the expectation, especially of customers who were using Enable now basically for rich media content and instructional design content and real interactive e-learning curricula rather than libraries and e-learning simulation and software simulations. So the book and book page fan base, they were a bit complaining about the fact that there was no chance to migrate existing attached media with all of their disadvantages, like persistency of paths, no chance to move them around. Yeah, everything was broken when you took a media out and put it to another folder. Yeah? So it just didn't behave as expected. That was not possible because that's the big advantage of media objects, that they have persistent UIDs on their own, that they are now real objects that could be moved wherever, they could be referenced, everything can be done. Well, now that's possible. Yeah, so one of our scripters in the Berlin support department created an absolute brilliant script that is converting a complete work area's media attachment assets into media objects and removes all the references, rebuilds them, it protocols the whole thing. There is a CSV file that shows you the changes. However, that thing is really could be dangerous if used wrong. Yeah, so that script is handed over to you soon via Consulting Info Center. You should all have access there. In the scripting section, it will pop up, but please, 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 please do not just hand this over to customers and say, do your modification. This is a consulting job, yeah, because if you configure that script wrong, it could really destroy a complete work area. Yeah, so take care, handle with care. Very powerful script, works like a charm, but you need to know what you're doing. So please, please do not just throw it over the customer's fence and say, here you go. This is something that you definitely will have to do together with them. As soon as it is on our info center, I would suggest that we spend another 15 minutes to walk through that process in one of our Friday sessions. Because I believe that this is quite important. Yeah? The script is so cool, it even creates an own media library. So it just takes out the used media out of the complete work area and builds a structured media library outside. So it's quite cool. All right, media object, some possibilities, and especially update external loaded file is the feature in the new release. So here we go. Display of references, yes, it looks different now. Not that much more to say here, I would say. The counters, they have icons now. Okay, but I believe the most important is that we can, in the flat list view, in the header, we can add additional object attributes and display them to compare and sort for them. Yeah, but that's again something that is self-explaining. Another big one from my perspective is import from other work areas. So overall, there is no need anymore to go via producer and do DKP im export if you want to move something from one work area to another work area on the same tenant or on the same on-premise manager. This is now possible on the back end without leaving the back end. So you can pull something because it's import, no? It's not push like export, it's just import. So you pull something from another work area and you can do quite interesting architectures now, even easier than before. For instance, having a quality system where you finally check, and then the finally checked package is moved to a productive system as a whole, where you probably refuse authors to modify. You have like a frozen zone, stuff like that. I believe you got the idea and the benefits of it. Take care a bit. There is the error handling has room for improvement. Yeah? So it's the minimal scope implemented for now. So if you realize something going wrong with that feature, let us know. Yeah, please open a ticket. Then we have it all in the system. That's version 1 of it, so there might be some hiccups somewhere. Let us know. For instance, in combinations, this is what fell on my feed yesterday. When you have combinations with extended and connected work areas and try to move stuff around that is actually coming from an extension, then you have recursions that could occur that are not error handled yet. So take a bit care. However, nice, no need to DKPX import via client anymore. Works all in the backend now. Good one.
Mike, any filters for that one planned?
That's one of the
server side or local ones.
That's one of the improvements that I would personally see. Again, yeah, that's the first version of that feature. We just need input. Yeah. So if there is anything, describe the case, put it to Jam, open a ticket on behalf of the customer, whatever. I believe that there is some things to do. Filters, for instance, would be one on my favorite list as well. Yeah, but we just need triggers.
Okay.
Goodie. System landscape. Last slide already. Enable now in ARIS. Nice one. I didn't get my ARIS license back up. Unfortunately, I wanted to show that live because that's really cool. If you have customers using ARIS for business process modeling, you should definitely proactively talk about that feature because it's a killer. It syncs in the same quality as the solution manager interface syncs, so it drills down an ARIS process model into a hierarchical structure, replicates that structure over to Enable Now. Enable Now references can be put in. The deep links of Enable Now content will be pushed back to the ARIS web publisher, so the end user consuming the business processes from there, watching it, they can connect to the corresponding Enable Now content immediately. The bitmaps of the business process models are synced back to Enable Now, so that's the cool part from my perspective, which is still not in place for Solution Manager if we compare that. The bitmaps of the ARIS process models are generated as PNGs, and the PNGs are handed over to our end, which effectively means that we can deliver the ARIS business process model visualizations in Enable Now's performance support modules like web and desktop assistant without having to do anything. Yeah, it's just there. Very cool. Yeah, but that's it. So it works. It's an import, it's an export. The rest is basically explained in the Enable Now sequence or in the manual. I don't think that this needs further explanation. Yeah, before we come to the launcher database, yep, we had some hiccups in the latest weeks where the Fiori Launchpad and S4 guys recommended customers to update their HANAs to support package 4, which was not yet supported in 1905, where we had outages because of missing communication between the teams. Okay, done now. 1908 is supporting HANA in the latest service pack as well. So no issues expected anymore. And yes, we have the logout timer being displayed now. Yeah. And the support of SAP machine. Take care. It's now officially supported. That means the open Java project from SAP, downloadable via GitHub, for instance, called SAP machine, is supported by the manager server application now. We just realized yesterday that this information did not end up in the system requirements documents. Our colleague from technical writing is already updating it, and it always takes a day or two to transport. So somewhere next week, we're going to have that info in the standard documentations as well. But there is a missing link. So in any of the documentations from help.sap.com, you will not find this information yet. keep in mind in case that becomes urgent. Okie dokie. But now the launcher. Is there a
Mike,
question coming up?
yes, please, for this SAP machine. So it's not coming from SAP Marketplace, it comes from GitHub directly. Is there any, well, if customers are concerned about it being secure and all this kind of thing, is there any recommendation that you would give us to how to communicate this one?
Stop crying. I don't know. I mean, it's open source. Where you get your open source stuff from usually? From GitHub.
Yeah, well,
I'm not
Java
sure.
runtimes were open source, but you downloaded them from the Oracle websites, so they had some kind of, you know,
Reputation.
yes, reputation for it.
Okay, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe they are in the packages. I don't know. Maybe they are on Marketplace. I found it on GitHub. So the first link, if you Google it, it's GitHub. Maybe we have an official download portal page for Submachine in somewhere in our portal, but I don't know.
Okay.
If somebody finds it, post it to Gem, and we know. Good. But the launcher. So launcher. So we are in Java business again now. Why did we invent the Enable Now launcher and the SENL MIME type? Because we wanted to get rid of the Java dependencies. Java is not for free anymore for some scenarios, and so customers were concerned, so we had to find a way to get rid of it. And the nice side effect of having the launcher is that it's easier now to create a seamless and completely communication-free auto-start behavior of desktop assistant using the launcher, because SENL is a proprietary MIME type of Enable Now. The launcher now works fine again when the session ID inside the SENL file is dead. It will create a new session. That was just like a bug in one release in between where this did not work. Now it works again. So effectively putting an SENL file into the auto start sequence of the client machine will lead to a proper runtime of desktop assistant without any interaction necessary. Yeah, that's what we actually want. Perfect. But, and that now comes the but, the app launcher can be installed and downloaded, or other way around, downloaded and installed by a single user, even without administrational privileges, because it's an MSI package that is tailored that way. Yeah, it could be administration-less installed. Could be, yeah, not necessarily. Depends on the security level of the customer. Even that can be prevented by group policies. However, on a regular common system, it works. And if that was done, so the single user installed the launcher on his or her PC using a corresponding link, from that moment in time on, the launcher will update automatically. But please be aware that this will not happen if the customer IT rolled the launcher out. And most likely this will be the more common case, even in medium-sized companies, yeah, because they will say, hey, sure, yeah, there is a link with an MSI, but we will not ask all of our 10,000 employees to click that link one by one. Yeah, we will take the MSI and roll it out using our software deployment system. Yeah, that's, I believe it's common sense that this will happen. And in particularly in that case, there is no auto update executed, only for the individual installation. We have to talk internally about that. It's not nice, but in fact, know now that if your customer says, yes, nice, we're gonna step away from JNLP, from Java Web Start, because we want this Java dependency being gone, because we want to, for instance, remove the JREs from our desktop computers. In that case, if launcher is used and launcher is rolled out, and if the launcher will change again, which is not foreseen, but it was never foreseen and two releases later, now it already changed. If the launcher requires an update, then the IT must follow our release cycle. Yeah? Because if cloud was updated from 1908 to 1911, and let's pretend that launcher changes again in 1911, then the IT must roll the update out. Otherwise, we end up in an outage. We end up in a scenario where desktop assistant would not boot up anymore. Yeah? If there was a dramatic change in launcher that would prevent that. Yeah? We will not be able to foresee that. But in case it happens, you have to have that on the radar. Yeah? So if the launcher will be updated once more, and if it was rolled out by the customer's IT, customer IT needs to patch it. Yeah? Because the auto update functionality is not applied to rolled out versions of the launcher. So that's really an important one from our perspective. So there we need proactive communication.
Mike,
Yes.
a question. Do you think it makes sense to have because the update of the launcher will not happen on each version, so we can pretty much tell the customer this is stable. But could we have a note in the preview email? You know, the email that says that there's a preview instance available for you.
Yes.
That if there is an update to the launcher, that there is a clear alert in this one.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we requested, at least. No, saying in that mail, then we have 1.5 up to 2 weeks time to prepare. There must be a clear and misunderstandable communication with a red frame around it. Attention, launcher changed. Yes.
And I assume that they will be backward compatible. So if you update it before the release time, that in the meantime it will still work.
How can I foresee that? I don't know. If there's an architectural change or a security related one, it might not be. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but there is a conflict field that we just need to have on the radar. In our role as consultants, we just need to proactively talk about it. What will be the outcome effectively? I don't know. Yeah, maybe launcher is calm now from now on and will not change anymore at all. It might happen. I don't know. Yeah, but in fact, you know now what the context is and what we have to talk about with our customers. That's it.
Thanks.
Alrighty, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually at the end of what I wanted to talk about with you. If there is any questions, feel free to ask them now, even if not related to the new release. We have some more time. And
Mike, in relation to the coexistence of desktop assistant and web assistant, once upon a time there was the idea to have a desktop assistant mode where desktop assistant hides basically when the bulb's not lighting, so that you don't have any footprint as long as you don't have any context context help available. Is there anything on that end? Because that seems like a similar technology.
No. But bringing that change request back up again would be right now would be the moment in time.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So basically, it's close because it's yeah you are right. It's close.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else? So, no more questions, no more input in that case. Yeah, thank you very much, as always, for your attention. We will be in touch again soon. Not sure when the next Friday session is planned. I believe in 2 weeks already. In the meantime, we talk in jam. If there is anything special, drop me a private message. And it's Friday, so have a great weekend all, and take care.
Bye-bye.
Same to you. Bye.
Bye, Mike.
Bye.
Bye.